You're watching Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks again for joining us. We're joined by Ed Royce. Ed is a member of the United States Congress. We're glad he is in town to speak with us today. I want to talk to you about the economy. You know as well as anyone, we've had a really rough ride the last couple of years. I mean, I'm old enough to remember times, and this feels really different than prior recessions. In Washington, what are you hearing and feeling about what can be done to help us here in California?
Well, I think one of the real things we could do is there are so many energy projects that are on hold. In California, we have 36 separate energy projects, big projects that can't get permitted. They're all in abeyance.
And Why? Is it regulation?
It's regulation. It's regulation, and frankly, we've got now so many regulations holding up any type of energy production. And this is an area where, for example, we've got the Keystone project coming down from Canada, which would bring petroleum down, and we could send it into our refineries, bring down the price of gas, right? Create a tremendous amount of new employment. But here in California, biomass is on hold. The solar projects out in the Southwest, they can't go forward because they can't link up to the grid, these solar plants.
You know what's interesting? It's the way I describe it is it's like Nixon going to China. Right. When the Democrats are saying that we need to look at regulation, we need to look at regulation. And it seems as if we've gotten to a point where there's bipartisan support for regulatory reform. So at least on the federal level, which is where you are, can you work with your colleagues on the Democratic side?
That's what we're trying to do. We've put 3 separate bills into the Senate, and right now we're trying to get Harry Reid, the leader in the Senate, to bring these bills up. And they will address not only the Keystone Pipeline project I talked about, but also right now the Russians are very much advantaged by the fact that we are not in the Arctic drilling. They are, with their largest pieces of drilling equipment. Likewise, of course, in the Gulf, off the coast of Virginia, there's these opportunities for American jobs rather than Venezuela, Chinese, and Spanish jobs.
I mean, you talk about the Gulf and you talk about the Arctic. I mean, it's very challenging. There's a lot of concerns about ANWR in Alaska, the Gulf, Louisiana, and so how do we get to a point that we can come together and create a compromise?
Brad, we have to have people think this through. Our drilling procedures are much safer than the Russian drilling procedures. But to allow them to extract that resource and create the jobs for Russia just it's a no-brainer. To allow Venezuela to drill in the coastal waters when we're not, we need to understand that our methodologies for this have advanced. Yes, we have to have proper oversight, and we've got to penalize anybody that breaks the rules. But we can't shut down our energy production because of the national security aspect of this. We're sending so much money overseas to the OPEC cartel to buy petroleum where we should be producing this energy in the United States.
You mentioned solar, and there's one bright spot in the California economy, and that is the creation of jobs in green energy.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if anything can be done on the federal level to spur the continuation of green jobs.
There is. There's only one permit right now for solar projects, you know, big solar projects to feed into the grid. There's 170 of them that are pending. So we have federal legislation to try to reverse that in California, because obviously if we can get cheaper energy here in California, our manufacturing becomes more competitive.
If you pass those federal reforms, do we need to then pass state reforms?
Well, there is a debate, because the three-toed lizard is out there, you know, on the ground near those transmission lines, and that's a federal issue over the Environmental Protection Act. But we're arguing, look, that's a subspecies. There's no way they're going to be hurt by these solar projects. It's
very complicated. Ed Royce, thanks for joining us. You come back again. I'm Brad Pomerance. We thank Ed Royce for joining us. He's a member of the United States Congress. I'm Brad Pomerance. Back to HLN.